One Monday morning, Pearl, a 14-year-old, got her rich dad driving her to the new school she had just attended in the past 2 weeks in his expensive car. She was not happy because her mother had denied her the extra sausage she asked for in her rich lunch. Despite all the peace and luxury she enjoyed in the car, she couldn't help but think of how her mom could be mean to her sometimes. As they continued to ride on, the rain started drizzling, and she watched some of her mates being caught up in the early morning drizzle as they walked, making arguments about some silly talk at school. She continued to stare at those poor, crazy kids who haven't even noticed the early morning drizzle. Her attention got caught on John, the poor, fine guy from her class who often helps her with her school assignments, especially in maths. "Daddy, Daddy, that is John. The classmate I said helps me with my assignments at school." "Stop. Let's pick him up for the ride to school." The father, who was focused on the road, was shocked at the daughter's desire to help. It was a bother to him, though, but also his custom is, anything for you. He stopped to honor the wish of Pearl. Pearl called out, "John, John!" But he couldn't be bothered as he played with the old Rubik's Cube prize he won at school the other day. She rolled her window and reached out, screaming and waving at John. John finally heard Pearl call out his name to join in. Humble John got terrified, probably thinking the call to drive in the luxurious ride was too much for him. He got a couple of his friends to get to the car and greeted Pearl's father politely. "Pearl wants you to join us at school on the ride." John gave Pearl a surprised look and humbly said, "Please, we are only about 5 blocks away from school. I can manage it with my friends." The father didn't insist because it was already humiliating having him stop to pick the wretched boy in the first place. He drove off. Pearl heard the conversation from the back seat. She couldn't persist with her request after all. The father stopped to get the boys. As they drove away from John and his friends, Pearl kept looking behind, wondering if John and his friends were okay in the drizzle, but the boys kept walking cheerfully. Pearl and the father got to the school's gate. Pearl hurriedly jumped out of the car, holding her rich lunch bag and school bag that were in the same designer. She kept looking behind, hoping to see John and his friends approaching. Finally, John and friends approached, and Pearl was relieved. Pearl took John's hand, and they walked smiling into the school gates. Pearl queried John, "Why didn't you enter our car earlier?" John replied, "My friends could have teased me all day saying a butterfly thinks itself a bird. I also didn't want your car to smell from our body odors." They laughed. In class, John sat close to the new student, Pearl, and was very good academically, to Pearl's admiration. At lunchtime, Pearl is seen abandoning her rich, packed lunch for John's broke lunch. After school closed, Pearl's father drove in to get her, and as she left, John, who was standing with her, handed her a small, crumpled note. Pearl collected and entered the car. As the car took off, Pearl saw stronger mates coming to get John away, and she didn't know what to do. When John was grabbed, he was taken to the school's hideout behind the kitchen where bully is rampant. He was drugged to meet Marcus, the notorious strongman on campus. Marcus asked John if he knew how Pearl ended up in their school and that he was the reason for her coming. So if John doesn't want a problem, he should stay away from her. Pearl wondered what grabbing was for. She opened the crumpled sheet and it read, "Dear Pearl, you're my best friend now. The others made me. But I will find a way, trust me." Following morning at school, Pearl quickly approached John to find out what the drug was about and if he is okay. John said it was nothing much and that he was okay. But Pearl noticed John was hostile to her the whole day. Marcus sermoned his crew, telling them to stay alert, that John wants to prove to them that he is more thugged than them, that when any of them sees John and Pearl together, they should report to him so that John will suffer. Whilst Pearl tries to find out what actually was the reason for the grab, John just whispered, "Trouble."
We have to do this, John. We have to do this, John.
I don't know, Pearl. This could go wrong.
Although that day Pearl tried to get John to open up. She skipped her lunch and got around John just to be sure he is okay and revealing.
In the drizzle of truth, who is really okay?
John revealed to Pearl that Marcus was the reason he is shying off. Pearl quickly looked for Marcus. She found him in the school corridors and warned him to stay away from her and John, or else school authorities will get the bully news. And Marcus couldn't talk back, but remained unconcerned. As Pearl walked away from Marcus into the class, Marcus went to John at the canteen to ask him why he would tell Pearl of the bully, mentioning his name. Marcus destroyed John's Rubik's Cube, the only toy that represents John's pride and his only prize, now destroyed because he chose to be Pearl's friend.
Pearl, upon hearing this bully, went ahead to report Marcus to the principal. The principal was sure to call Marcus and sanction him for this bullying. The principal sent for Marcus and rebuked him in front of Pearl. As a deterrent, the principal asked Marcus to replace the destroyed Rubik's Cube for John at the school's assembly for the other mates to look on. Marcus had no option but to shamefully replace John's Rubik Cube to him at assembly. He apologized and pleaded to be friends with the two. And they indeed became friends. Lessons learned. In life, we don't always get everything we want. Sometimes things we never asked for, like rain or trouble, find us anyway. But there is a great power in staying calm, being content, and working hard for what matters. Marcus learned this the hard way. You can't force a friendship through bullying or being tough. Friendship is earned through respect, not fear. Now, Marcus finally has the chance to prove he is worthy of the bond Pearl and John share.